What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dawg Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. Man, I am excited for today's show because we have got a ton of stuff to talk about. We don't normally get into a lot of this other stuff. Like, for instance, there's no crying in baseball. We're going to get to talk about some women's baseball today. I'm very, very excited for it. We have got football news, a ton of football news, things that are not necessarily football news, but are going to get roped in with football. NBA finals are going crazy. Tyrese Haliburton is a fucking dog. And MLB All-Star voting is up and going. I know I got my first votes in today. Evo, I'm sure you did as well, as the massive baseball fan you are. But with that, let me bring in Evo, brother. How you doing? How you been? I know busy, just had the boys, went and did the Disney thing, getting married soon. We'll be seeing you in Vegas. Man, you're a busy man.
Very busy, very busy. Kind of preface that last show, like, got like 40 days, 45 days of just like pure, balls to the wall action. So yeah, I just got done with Florida. Tan is looking just as good as ever because, your boy keeps it dark. Happy Juneteenth to all my gingers out there.
All the fellow gingers.
Yeah, dude, I'm tired. I have a raging headache. It didn't help to try to start off the show that microphone just wasn't working, but I think we got that figured out. So good to go. Happy to be here. Exhausted for sure. Exhausted. And a week from tomorrow, gonna be having my nuptials. So definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you and producer Amber out there and everyone else that's going to be able to make it to Las Vegas. I'm sure it's going to be nice for you going from whatever sort of heat that you have plus humidity to just scorching dry heat.
Sweltering dry heat. So it's actually been fairly nice the last couple of days. The heat has not been bad, but the humidity is a motherfucker. One day it got to like 88 and it was humid, and I remembered why I hated humidity. So I'm really looking forward to a little bit of the dry heat. I'm very looking forward to seeing the nuptials. We got some plans to go out. We got some club tickets. I'm an old man. I don't know how much clubbing I'm going to do. This show, you might see me make some jerky movements. I'm just having a back spasm at the moment, so just don't worry about that. I'm going to have a little more alcohol, but I'm very excited for the wedding, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. The boys are going to have a great time in Vegas as well. Our kids loved it when they went.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like we're going out on one day. I think someone's trying to pop in. We're going out one day, getting married the next day, and then like the next couple days, like we are trying to find stuff fun to do with the boys and everything like that. So it's going to be like get married, stay out all night, do the Vegas thing, get no sleep, hopefully a little hanky panky, and then
for sure
immediately have like more meetings and stuff to do for like going over photographs and everything next day, and trying to keep the boys entertained. Thankfully they're staying with grandma for the night, but yeah, it's going to be a wild time for sure. A lot of fun.
The Marvel thing, I don't know if the boys are in the Marvel, but that Marvel little exhibit thing they got out there for I don't even know what the hell it is. Producer Amber and I wanted to do it because we're giant Marvel nerds. But I would imagine that the boys would love it if they're into the superheroes.
Yeah, we looked into that. Another one that I keep on hearing about is that shopping mart, the grocery store or whatever, Omega Mart.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna be trying to hit those bad boys up.
All right. Well, my man, so should we start giving the people what they want? Start talking about a little bit of the sports, because there was a ton of shit that's been going on. Last night, massive game, NBA, game one of the finals, and OKC played a great game. They dominated that game from basically start to finish. The only time they were not leading this game was the first, I think it was 20 seconds. I don't remember what the time was at the beginning. And then the last 0.3 seconds of the game. Now, admittedly, I did not get to watch this. I had to go back. I got to hear about it today. My man went and gave me a cut, and let me know it was a crazy game last night.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it either. It was the fiance's birthday yesterday, so was out spending money and partying, doing stuff for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't get to watch it other than see the highlights. Obviously, the last 0.3 seconds.
Yeah, man. So here's the thing. I remember a few years ago, NBA, obviously we're not huge watchers of the association, but you hear big storylines because we pay attention to sports. And I remember a few years ago, you had those conversations about, is Tatum going to take those next steps? When is Tatum going to become the superstar? And then you see it taking place on this national stage, right? And it's like, okay, finally, we're seeing this ascension. Well, we're kind of seeing a very similar thing play out right now for Tyrese Haliburton. He is becoming an absolute superstar on a massive, massive scale because, I mean, the Pacers are not going to be nationally televised a lot. It's the Pacers, right? Now, obviously, Indiana loves their basketball, but not everybody else in the NBA gives a shit about the Pacers. So he is now being seen on this huge, huge scale, and he is balling out. I mean, clutch in every sense of the word. And he's done it in every single series. What a cool thing for him and the Pacers to kind of get this thing going and give us a wild finish to game one. So now I have to make sure I know when game two is because there's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, look, between him and Siakam, like they've put together a really good team there. Haliburton, though, like the clutch part of it, obviously he's a really good player. You're seeing that throughout the game. But what we've seen in the playoffs from him so far are those clutch shots, like last second hitting the threes or a two when it came down to the Knicks series. Just like really, really actually entertaining basketball. And again, that's kind of what people are wanting in the playoffs. They're wanting to see actual basketball, not the fouls. SGA used that to make his way all the way to the end. I love all the images of him. It's just him on the ground.
And every single article, a friend of ours, Casey Kinnaman, friend of the show, pointed out that some of these articles do him dirty. They get the dumbest faces of him and plaster it all over the internet.
Well, how's it doing him dirty? That's the face he makes. That is, yeah, it's not AI. What is more disingenuous is that every picture that you see is him at the free throw line, him with the face, or him laying on the ground. Now, that is like 80% of his game.
He's a good player still.
For sure, at free throws. I mean, you look at the amount of, shots he actually makes regularly, and it's above average. I'll say it's above average, but free throws is insane. That dude is great at that. But yeah, I love, the shots of Haliburton making that last second shot, and then you've got just pictures of SGA on the ground. It's like not anything else, just him on the ground, kind of looking flabbergasted. So look,
is that his normal face though? The flabbergasted face?
I don't know what his normal face is. If it's more often that, or if it's more often the goofy faces where he's flopping egregiously. I don't know what's more common, honestly. Look, all I know is that if you are a woman that is involved in his love life, I feel bad for you because they're always on top. He's always on his back, and he's always making the goofy faces. So I don't know how they're getting off on that, other than the fact that he's probably showering them with money and gifts.
I guarantee you that he makes noise for sure, though. With those faces, noises come out.
Yeah, as long as it ain't Karl Anthony Towns noises. It's something, I guess.
Oh, all right, man. So let's switch over to go ahead.
Happy Pride Month, though. Happy Pride Month.
Absolutely, happy Pride Month. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Let's switch over to baseball, though. MLB All-Star voting has begun. I cast my votes today. I voted for quite a few Guardians, not all of them. I was not a complete homer, but I did vote for maybe a guy that not a lot of people will expect to be getting votes, but Daniel Schneemann has absolutely earned some votes. Has been incredibly valuable to this lineup that has been honestly pretty trash outside of Jose Ramirez. We've been outscored as a team, but somehow we still have a winning record. I just don't understand it. But it's for me completely. It makes sense because we traded away a platinum glove winner at second base and 30 home runs, 100 RBIs from first base. I wonder what happened. I wonder why we're not as good as we were last year. Jesus. So I'm baseball season has been tough here. It's been tough on the actual diamond with the younger boys. So yeah, baseball. I'm ready for football to start already, man. And normally I'm like, baseball season. Football needs to hurry its ass up and get here.
Yeah, look, we're edging ourselves with the football talk right now. I know you want to talk about OTAs, but yeah, look, we are both of our teams, Twins, Guardians, still hovering around that 6.5 games back from the best team in baseball, Detroit, right now. But look, congratulations to the Colorado Rockies. They are at 12 wins. We have to keep that update going. 12 wins, 50 losses. What a spectacle it had to have been to be there live to watch the Rockies hit double digits this season. When, the next worst team, I believe, is the White Sox with 20 wins. They're catching up. A race for second to last is going to be a fun one to observe. And then you also have a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, which very much so out there in the social media presence, 23 wins, not doing good either. But they have one of the hottest young talents on the mound in Paul Skeens, who, you might know him more for who he's dating and Livy Dunn. But
did you see her on the runway, dude?
Nope, I don't look.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't.
I'm getting married a week from tomorrow.
By the way, we are live on Instagram today. First time that we have ever been live on Instagram. So shout out everybody who is tuning in over there right now. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate all of you. But look, he is having a stellar year. Yet only, I believe, has 8 wins of those 23 or something like that. Like it is or 3 wins. I can't remember. It's something terrible. Like his team is so bad around him. Do you think that Paul Skeens is going to get traded away? Because I know that there's a lot of talk of that right now, that they need to do some sort of a huge rebuild. And the only way that they might be able to accomplish that is by moving that talented player.
Do I think Paul Skeens will get traded? 100%. Because the Pirates have never been a team that really wants to compete. That all sports teams are a money-making factory. Now, granted, I do not know the inner workings of the Pirates organization, but I listen to people, especially I listen to guys like Pat McAfee. So when you hear guys who have a lot of money who talk about way owners run their organizations and that they don't give a shit about the team or how it works or how to make it better. Yeah, I fully expect a guy like Paul Skeens to get traded away, bring in some other assets. They'll find ways to do things, flip things around, because they're not going to pay him. If they're just out there printing money, they don't care about making a competitive team.
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that they are like you said, professional sports. You basically make money unless it's another conversation we might get into here in a moment. But like WNBA, obviously there's issues with, fan attendance, and that's gone up, but still there's a reason why the players don't get paid as much. Baseball, obviously the players are getting paid more, but when you're having terrible seasons, poor turnouts, poor attendance and stuff like that, like the Colorado Rockies, I wonder what their margins truly are. Are they really pulling in enough where it's like, hey, we have to at least be semi-competitive? And that's the thing, is that Paul Skeens, while he is one of the better pitchers in baseball right now and is doing an outstanding job despite the team around him, he's not going to be able to uplift the other 8 players that are out there, 8, 9 guys, So it's a tough spot for them to be in. Yeah, and I fully agree. I think that they are not going to pay him, which means you have to somehow get something in return for that. You might as well trade him and get what you can to try to become at least that moderately competitive team, put more butts in the seats, and that's how you kind of continue to bring in that revenue. It'll be really interesting to see if and when that trade goes down, what teams are going to be able to actually be competitive in it. Because, obviously, I'm sure both of our teams would love to get that guy, but
Yeah, that's never
that
happening. We don't pay people like that because Paul Skeens is going to command probably top of the league money. Pitcher going to get 380. So, and here's the thing: we see these hitters getting these longer term deals. I don't know if we'll see a pitcher get a 12-year deal for the same amount because with guys throwing as hard as they do, Tommy John is obviously a fucking thing. So you will probably see $380 million over 6 or 8 or something like that. That it's just an astronomical AAV that will put Paul Skeens near top of the league AAV because, I mean, his star power commands that because of who he is, the company he keeps, and how fucking good he is at the sport.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that new ownership coming into the Twins might be able to bring some new pocketbooks or something like that. But again, who knows, what that future is going to hold. It's just going to be more, and it's, to me, one of the issues with baseball is that it is ruled by the wealthiest of owners who are able to just shell out stupid monies and basically pay to win.
Yeah. At some point, they're going to have to do something. We published a short today, which you guys can go check out over on our YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe while you're there. But talking about the possible realignment of how baseball would work. Get rid of the divisions, get rid of all of that, and just let everybody play each other the same amount of times or a standard amount of times, and the 10, 12 best teams make it. And then you can do that on a national TV deal. And then there's revenue sharing, and then you can bring in a salary cap. And our friend Roger, over at Dog Chug was chiming in there as well, bringing a lot of this information in. So, like, there's some things that you could do to adjust baseball. Actually, I figured out the numbers. It was 145 games against 29 other teams. Like, that's 5 games apiece. You play every team 5 times. If you take it up to 174 games, which MLB owners might like, because there's more money to be made there, you play every team 6 times. That's a 3-3 series, home and home series against every team, a completely open league. And then you take the best fucking teams and then you put them in the playoffs. And then that will give you the best product. Revenue sharing will make the lower teams better, hopefully, because if you would do something like this, players would have to institute a salary floor, and I'm sure owners would want a salary cap.
But it's an interesting idea.
There are some fucking ways to make some moves and maneuvers to really adjust baseball and sell it more. But listen, there's some new leagues that might be able to compete against baseball. Because I got to tell you, when producer Amber kind of told me about the story, I was very excited. The women's baseball, a new women's baseball league, the Women's Pro Baseball League, is coming summer 2026. It will field 6 teams comprised fully of women. It will be the first women's baseball league in the United States since the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League that was disbanded in 1954, which was made famous by a movie about not fucking crying in baseball.
Now,
League of Their Own, man. Like, this is gonna be really cool, especially for young ladies.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, I would love to see, as much equality as possible amongst the sports and everything. But in general, right now, when it comes to baseball, the opposite counter for women is softball, and you see softball kind of prevalent all the way up through the college ranks, but nothing beyond that. This is going to be a baseball league, correct? Not a
Correct.
softball league.
This is
And
not a
so
softball league.
it seems, and I could just be absolutely unaware of this, but I'm not aware of any women's baseball leagues, women's baseball players, recreational or otherwise. I'm familiar with the softball, but you know
Listen,
what?
there are a lot of young ladies that have played high quality baseball. You think back to Little League World Series, you got your Monet Davises. I mean, plenty of these young women have kind of paved the way and shown that like girls can play baseball. Like right now, we moved Aubrey out of baseball and into softball because she wanted to play softball with all the girls. Lizzie's like, fuck that. I'm not playing softball. I want to play baseball. So I expect that she'll probably continue on into coach pitch and maybe higher up leagues. I think a lot of girls like playing baseball as opposed to maybe softball. I don't know. I think that this is going to have to be a youth movement to start with, full on, because where are you going to find these women to field these teams? I don't know, right. But there's only 6 to start with. Your roster is probably looking at 20. Fuck, I don't know how many innings they're going to play. If they're going to play full 9-inning games. There's a lot to be answered about the league, but it's really intriguing because if they find a way to actually market this, they could carve out a really big spot because baseball, Major League Baseball, has done a terrible job of getting fucking baseball on TV.
This is, and I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer with it, but part of this is ignorance in my part. So we had a comment from producer Amber here: softball's cool, but baseball's so much more fun to watch. I don't look at it as being that dissimilar especially from a fan perspective. Other than the fact that it's
faster
in baseball.
It's much faster. Now the bases are shorter in softball for sure, but the ball moves slower. The throws are slower. The ball doesn't travel as far. Like baseball feels more explosive, which makes it more entertaining for me. There's not to disparage softball in any fucking way, or softball players, because there are some badass softball players. We've seen Jenny Lynch strike out major leaguers, so I am not trying to disparage them at all. But for me, the game itself is a little slower, so I'd rather watch baseball.
Yeah, and again, I don't
baseball's already slow.
I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of this, but again, we've seen collegiate baseball that has got top-notch talent, and there hasn't been that next step beyond that for as long as I've been aware. You would think that the next natural progression would be a professional softball league rather than a professional women's baseball league. Yeah. So why hasn't that happened? And that
I don't know that softball will drive as much traffic, man, because there are softball people, and softball people are great. But I think as a whole, people generally like to see harder hit balls, faster thrown balls, so you can see more violence of action. And
are we going to see that though? Because
I think that you can. Because here's the thing: some of these girls can get up there, they'll pump at 70, 80 miles an hour. 80 miles an hour, and you get good bat on ball. You can hit these women are not going to be small girls. Some of them will be for sure, like a softball player who's a slapper or whatever. But there's going to be some girls that probably can hit fucking tanks.
Yeah, but to me, it's initially, are you actually going to have the players? I don't know.
I mean, they'd have to. There's in America, no way that you're going to have. They're saying, "Hey, we're going to have this baseball." Listen, if there's tryouts, that would be interesting to hear about.
For sure, it's all interesting, and I want to see this succeed. But I'm very fearful that I always, we talk about this with a lot of our stuff. You want to, before you build a house, you need a foundation. I don't know if there's that foundation of players out there, because for the most part, women have gravitated towards softball, whether that is a societal issue or not, I don't know. But I feel like this is almost like And again, it's probably an ignorance thing. I don't know how many women there are in America, South America, China that actually play baseball versus softball into an age 18 plus where they can make it into a professional league. And so my fear is that they're going to try to start this thing and it could flame out because maybe there isn't
Baseball will be
sort of
bad.
talent developed yet. Uh, there could not be that talent developed yet. Whereas if a movement started, and this would have to take like a decade of actually having women's baseball leagues and somehow competing directly with those softball leagues, employing talented girls, because I believe that the girls that are playing softball probably could play baseball. It's just that they only have one option right now. So if you only have one option, there's a lot of similarities between football, American football, and rugby. And you do see some players cross sports, but how many of those players truly make it to the NFL level and are successful long term outside of maybe punters and stuff like that?
Right.
You don't see it. And so to make that transition in a relatively similar sport from softball to baseball, there's still going to be some sort of a difference in competitive abilities compared to if you were developing for a decade or more in that craft, in that sport. And so that's what scares me, because when this happens, I want it to be successful. But that, again, that's an ignorant part of me. I have no idea if women are out there playing baseball beyond.
I got
level.
one little girl right now who fucking loves it and doesn't want to switch over to softball. So I would love to keep her there. Because I'll coach her at some point. But
yeah, that would be cool.
It would be super, super cool. Now, we have a couple of comments in here. We have one on Instagram, which does not pop up in here. Good to know. For the first time over on Instagram. So Sam Llewellyn, we will get to your comment, I promise. But before we do that, producer Amber, unfortunately, it probably received less or receives the same amount of attention because it's women. It probably won't receive the same amount because it's women. Women's leagues are not. There we go. Women's leagues are just not as popular. It would be cool to see a women's team be successful, but the only reason WNBA is popular is a single player. So that actually kind of gets into this. I a little bit disagree with producer Amber here, and maybe you as well. I think if a women's baseball league has a much higher chance to succeed than the WNBA does, especially if there is enough talent to put on a decent baseball game. Women's basketball, muscle spasm. Women's basketball is a drastically different game than men's basketball because the explosiveness of the athlete. The rim doesn't get shorter for the women. So they're not going up. They're not dunking. They're not making high-flying plays. So there is a huge drop-off in athleticism when you go from the men's to the women's league. Sorry, ladies, it's just the truth. In baseball, woman throwing to woman, I think if you have somebody who can throw 70, 80, and a girl who knows how to use her kinetic chain and swing, she can hit a home run 300, 350. Fuck, if she really pipes one 420, if she really fucking ropes one, and if you put the fences at like 300, 315 all the way around, now you're still seeing a similar product. Now you're still seeing a baseball game, and it's just played by women. It's not small. It's not less explosive like women's basketball is. So that is tough for me because women's basketball is a completely different fucking game.
I still think that while everything you said is correct about the baseball portion there, that women could hit home runs and be able to throw as faster pitches and stuff like that, because a lot of that comes down to mechanics.
Yeah.
It's not about like the straight up physiology, because you see minuscule, just tiny dude baseball players that are able to do this stuff. It's way more about the mechanics than like raw physiology.
Exactly.
That being said, I just don't think that there's that pipeline for development or for players to have, because part of it is you have to develop the ability to be a pitcher like that. Like, that is not something that can be trained in a year or two. These guys who are pitchers have been playing since they were children for the most part, and then they have
Yeah.
they're athletic freaks as far as their musculature and bone structure and everything. Like, it physically changes the body of some of these players. Whereas, again, I just don't know that there's going to be that sort of uh, a pipeline of players, and I think that will make it less
Listen,
entertaining because at the end of the day, I could care less if it's a dude or a chick out there. I If I'm watching a sport, I'm watching it to be entertaining. One of the things that, like you said, with WNBA that makes it a little bit less entertaining is that the explosivity. You're not seeing the dunks and stuff like that. You're seeing Angel Reese make 18 rebounds and one layup in a game. Um, it's in it's just not as entertaining as the male version of the sport, and it's not, to me, it's not because of the gender. It's just because it's not as entertaining. Um, and I fear that, if we were to be putting this out, it would be an ESPN The Ocho type of thing, which already gets limited viewing. Whereas if you had softball out there, you already are looking at women who are top of the end athletes at that sport, already putting out a really good product. They just don't have an avenue right now beyond college baseball, or excuse me, college softball, which, you know, I think that probably is a failure. And I just assumed that would have been the route that they would have gone first, is a professional softball league. And then you start developing way at the youth level and continuing, not having just some sort of a switch over that is typical where girls start to switch to softball. No, you just start to have a very dedicated girls baseball league that goes up through, you know, high school, college, beyond. That would be the hope, that we would end up seeing that.
listen, I want it to be successful, man. I think this is such a cool concept. Obviously, I'm invested in baseball. I love baseball. I have a young daughter who loves baseball still, and now if she can see that maybe there's an avenue to continue to play baseball, maybe more girls will start to just continue to play baseball instead of making the jump over to softball. Um, that's my hope. I'm gonna support the hell out of this league as much as I can, because I love baseball and I want to see something like this, because I want to give my daughter that hope to continue to play baseball, not say, no, you need to switch over to play softball, because if you want to, like, I don't want to be that dad. So now you can play baseball, and if you want, maybe you'll get drafted. Elizabeth Carlisle, fucking first round pick of 20, Jesus Christ, what year is that going to be? 2040 almost.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
I would love anyone out there that is watching this show, if this ends up going into a short later, anyone out there that knows if there are women baseball players who are playing outside of high school or even up into the high school ranks that are being as competitive, or, competitive with the boys, things like that. Is there truly enough player base to support the foundation and starting of a league where it can kind of, be that little bit of a small kindling that'll break into a big fire and become something that's pretty entertaining? Because, again, I'm ignorant. I don't know about this. And a large part of it is probably I just haven't ever seen it while I was in school, or any of the schools that are around here. I have no idea. Like, there is a counter to men's professional football, the Lingerie Football League. There's obviously some chicks that are playing that, and from what I have gathered, never having seen it, of course,
Obviously never
only
watched
ever
it.
hearing about it, is that they aren't your typical, how do I put this lightly? The way that a normal football player might look, like Mike or I, in female fashion. They typically are a little bit more buxom and uh, curvaceous in other ways than Mike
Yes,
and I are. Again, we're two dummy thick idiots here.
correct.
And that league has survived for a long time. Now, I don't know if it's based off of the quality of the actual play or other ideals of the league, but my point being is that there is still obviously women who are participating in that league who are earning money. I don't know that it's a
Yeah,
livable wage, but they are earning money. Um, and so I that's another thing. I would never want the league to be denigrated to a fashion that the Lingerie Football League is.
right.
And I am not saying that this would ever devolve into a Lingerie Baseball League. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I don't want the sport to be denigrated into something lesser. I don't want it to end up becoming a joke. And that's a big fear of mine, is that if they don't have that player pipeline, that could be the ultimate doom to it, and we might never get another opportunity for that sort of a league to happen.
Yeah. So I agree that if it goes bad, there's a chance, and there is a chance it could go bad because it might not get the support that it will need. Because it is baseball and it's women's sports, and they don't get enough shine. But let's hope that for all the young ladies out there that it does work. And if anybody does know if there are some really badass young baseball players, let us know. Send us some highlights. We'll shout them out for sure.
Absolutely. That's a big thing that we do here, No Sleeves Network, and particularly here with Raw Dawg Sports. We love to shout out the youth sports players. So if you've got any sort of cut-ups, highlights of youth players that are awesome at what they do, let us know. Get us links to those clips. We want to promote them.
Absolutely. So we had another comment come in here. I can't show it on the screen. Samuel asks, have we been keeping up with the Stanley Cup finals? My man, you are a little more hockey aficionado than I am. I am, a very passive hockey guy. The Avs aren't in it, so I haven't really given a fuck.
Yeah, am I wild? We're ousted pretty early on. I tried to watch a little bit of that. I haven't been keeping up with it as much as I should. I know that right now we are in game 2. It's tied up. Edmonton is leading the series, but it is tied up 3-3 in the second. So again, not as big of a sport that we cover, something that we definitely pay attention to in the world of sports. But if I'm rooting for one of these teams, it is Edmonton, because I don't understand how a fucking Florida team is able to have a professional hockey team that is so damn good.
Well, they have good management. It's not like they're not travel kids anymore at this point. So
nothing to do with the taxes.
Yeah, for sure. Has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that they don't. Hey, have you heard that Texas is never mind. Anyways, moving on. So I have not paid much attention. The Oilers are apparently, they're the team that has just been shit on for the last 50, 60 years, it feels like, right? Is that what it is?
Sure.
I mean, it'd be cool, I guess, for Edmonton to get a win, to break some sort of curse, because I feel like there was some sort of dark cloud hanging over Edmonton. I don't know enough about the hockey, though. So, all right, let's stop talking about hockey then. I'm good on women's professional baseball. Are we ready to start talking about football? Because there's a lot of football stuff to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So, if you're not aware, Pride Month started, and if you're not on Twitter, you didn't know it pissed Dez Bryant off. So there was some, obviously, June is Pride Month. There is people that have their own opinions about whatever it is that they don't like. It's not my opinion. It's not my way to say what is right or wrong for your own fucking opinion. But everybody is entitled to say whatever they like. And Dez made some strong statements, though, and kind of went at the NFL, because the NFL put out their message, trying to be very inclusive. We see most of the leagues trying to be very inclusive. For me, it doesn't.
All but 12 teams have changed their, social media logos.
And for me, it doesn't matter. If you change the logo or if you don't change the logo, it doesn't mean that you're inclusive. It just means you want people to see that you appear inclusive.
Right.
If you are inclusive, you're inclusive all the time. So doing the show of it doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm also not of that community, so I can't necessarily speak to that. However, Dez Bryant, NFL is not gay at all, or trans, or any of those other things, apparently. Where are you at on this entire? Where are you?
I thought his quote was, "I guess the NFL is gay now, or football is gay now." I believe that's the quote. Either way, look.
There was something he said, and it was to the effect of, like, "This is wrong. I'm going to tell my boys that this is not what it is." So
that's you kind of brought this up, whether or not a team changes the logo. I again, very straight. Except I'm gay for you, Mike, because apparently podcasts are just a excuse for two straight men to go on a date.
Oh yeah, that's actually
posted that on the Facebook. But you know, we are a pretty darn inclusive show, I would say. Like, we are open. We don't really care what you do. We're here for the sports of it. I feel like most of the time when organizations, teams, businesses, things like that, for Pride Month change their logos on things, it's more about, hey, we want to get the positive PR from this rather than they actually care that much. I'd rather see, again, initiative to be inclusive all the time, right? And that doesn't mean that they're going to, we're not going to see the Philadelphia Eagles with a completely rainbow colored logo year round, because that, I'm sorry, would be silly. They have team colors for a reason, because it's sports, right?
It's sports.
And you don't have to. That being said, you see other initiatives that the NFL pushes out, such as, wearing pink for breast cancer, which they're doing away with the whole month of pink, or, that seems foolish to me. Like, I wish they would do that more. And it's, I look at it as the same way as the Pride Month stuff. I don't care if a player participates in it or not. I don't really care if a team participates in it or not. However, I've never personally had anyone in my family have breast cancer, but I sympathize with those who have had breast cancer, who have people in their family who've had breast cancer. So by all means, I want to support ending breast cancer and cancers in general, and support for those families and stuff like that. And I look at it as the same way as Pride Month. I might not be gay, but I've got no problem with that section of people. I've got no problem with teams, players, people showing their support for it. And I don't think that the NFL is gay, or football is gay, or whatever it is, or wrong.
Quarterbacks are gay.
Showing any of that stuff.
Quarterbacks are gay.
Well, okay.
But
we'll get to Aaron Rodgers in a minute. But I don't think that it's the NFL or football is gay. I think that the NFL and what it should be standing for in general is that they want to be supportive in their platform of those who are oppressed or obviously affected by something such as cancer, which is a good thing in general. It's not like they're choosing, hey, we are only supporting Christianity or religion or something like that. It's not saying, hey, we're against the straights. They're saying, like, we recognize that there are other sexualities.
Yeah, it's not. No, we don't. It's not. We don't like straights. It's the gays are cool too. Is what's happening. Like,
yeah. By the way, just real quick sidebar. Did you see Carl Nassib? He was going on an interview talking about how he was playing against or in practice or something like that, and he yelled the 6-letter F word or something like that, and the whole offensive line turned and said, "You can't say that."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's the guy.
I did see the interview. Carl Nassib, hilarious dude on Hard Knocks. Math, not his strong suit. But you know what? I did see that cool story also, by the way, because that's the way it should be. That's how the NFL is inclusive. So do I have a problem with the commercials or whatever? The NFL is gay or transgender and this and that? And no, who gives a shit? Like, it can be all of those things. It could be not any of those things. Like, it's for everybody all the time, including women, like Haley Steinfeld. Or is she changing her last name?
Cardi B.
Is Cardi? Oh yeah. Well, is he still in the league?
Currently,
okay.
Currently, Stephon Diggs is still a part of the New England Patriots.
Yeah, listen, Dez can have his opinions, and everybody's entitled to their opinions. I think what the NFL did was fine, and I think that Dez has kind of been a little closed-minded, but he's also entitled to his opinion, I guess. So
that's the beauty of this country, freedom of speech. You got to let people say their beliefs and their thoughts and stuff like that, because if you don't, you'll never have an opportunity to change those beliefs or thought processes. I guarantee that you've been closed-minded about a lot of stuff before, because I sure as fuck know I have been. I'm pretty sure it's just part of the human condition. Yeah. And until you change, there's not going to be that sort of change. So we might as well have this conversation about it. And that's kind of the thing here too, is that we aren't really talking about a sport right now. We're talking about a social issue that happens to be affecting one of the sports that we extremely love. But like if we don't allow the conversation to happen, if we don't have that conversation, then there will be no movement on that conversation. So might as well do it here.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, if we're gonna have a conversation like this, why not have it in an environment where we can be open, honest? Because we've kind of created an atmosphere with Raw Dawg Sports and Notice Network and the things that we've done where I'm not afraid to say anything on here. You're not afraid to say anything on here.
There's certain things I'm not allowed to say.
Okay, that's true. All right. So
certain words.
Yes. In particular. But you know what? Let's keep talking about the NFL because there's some other news. I
got one question for you, Mike.
Go ahead.
Do we need to have a rainbow colored Raw Dawg Sports logo up for the rest of the month? Because look, I see you are already supporting with the rainbow colors of your lights right behind you.
Yes. I support the gays and those lights.
And I would love to say that these lights behind me are not showing up correctly. They are purple. It's not just white, people. It's not just white.
It looks like it's just white.
But these are blue and purple lights that are behind me. I swear to God.
I don't know. We could talk to Byron, I guess. I don't believe we have one of those created. Do we need one? Probably not, because once again, I don't feel like we're not inclusive.
Yeah, I don't want to be a clout chaser. Is more what it is.
Yeah. Listen. Nope, not doing it. You're not going to rope me into that. Anyways, moving on. Other stories in the NFL. Terry McLaurin wants to get paid, and he fucking should get paid. A lot of goddamn money. So I got into a Twitter spat, on
what?
Crazy, weird. I said I was going to not do it. I was going to I'm not going to fight on Raw Dawg Sports because I shouldn't do that. It's just for the podcast. It's just for the show, which apparently we didn't remember. But anyways, regardless of the point, Terry McLaurin is an absolute dog. Has been a dog since he came into the league. Barely missed 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie and has been over 1,000 yards every year since. This year went double-digit touchdowns at 13 because he finally had a goddamn quarterback. Over 1,000 yards again now, 5 seasons in a row. And if you look at the quarterback play that Terry McLaurin has had, it's been basically abysmal outside of Jaden Daniels this last year. Taylor Heinicke is a cool story, but did he really do anything that impressed you or made Terry McLaurin shine? No, but Terry was still able to do what he needed to do to get his yards and be productive. Terry McLaurin deserves his money, and if the Commanders won't pay him, they're idiotic because he has an excellent rapport with Jaden Daniels. However, if they don't want to pay Terry McLaurin, I don't care what draft pick do they fucking want. I'll send it over in a heartbeat, dude, to get Terry McLaurin on this team, on this Browns team. Where are you at on Terry, him getting his money and him actually walking out of voluntary when he was already there?
I think that he has put in a lot of work with this team. By the way, I want to thank you for not throwing any Sam Howell slander out there. He's part of the quarterback rehab school right now in Minnesota, so he will be rejuvenated. He's not part of that former team. But despite that, Terry McLaurin still had great years with Sam Howell slinging the ball around. And that just kind of goes to show that elite receiver talent is going to get theirs. And McLaurin has put in the work with this team through their bad years. And now they're hitting this stride. Do I think that he deserves to get paid? Absolutely. It's less about that, and it's more obviously going to be about his age. He's turning 28, 29, I believe, something like that. He's hitting the
he'll be turning 30. He was an old recruit when he was older when he got into the league.
So he's hitting the end of what is considered his peak years, which I know obviously is going to make teams a little bit more leery of, giving out that big contract, because obviously guys are going to start to slow down in their play. Injuries can creep in, things like that. from a pure business perspective, I understand why they wouldn't want to shell out that sort of big money. However, he is the best receiving option on that team. He is one of the heart and soul pieces of that team. Jaden Daniels is not as successful as he was without Scary Terry on that team. And
He's
Scary
a
Terry,
true number one wide receiver.
yes, and Scary Terry isn't going to just go away because he's older in a year or two. You're talking about the prime, like building years for Jaden Daniels to truly show what type of quarterback that he can be, and you want to not leave one of the best supporting options around for him? No. And if you trade him away, there's no guarantee they're getting anything back in return that's going to be an equivalent of that. So yes, I believe that he deserves to get paid. There's got to be a healthy middle ground, and it's tough right now because you're seeing kind of contracts explode and become huge with the large increases in salary cap.
Where does he land for you in terms of quality as wide receiver, and where you think his money might be? Any guesses?
So
I
don't
have
know.
Terry top 15 wide receiver. I'll say that.
That's
Right
what I was gonna say. I have him out of my top 10, but he is a bona fide number one. He's probably top between the
12,
top 10
13.
and 20. It's a little bit dependent because it starts to come down to a little bit less about absolutely like the stats that he puts out on the field and some of the limitations that there technically could be, because he's not a Mike Evans in height and jump ball receiver capabilities. Like there's some different gray areas there. Regardless, I feel like he fits in that class. This is the same sort of thing we'd have a conversation if Antonio Brown hadn't gone off the fucking
Correct.
deep end. You're talking about the same sort of style, not exactly, but same size, stylistic type of receiver. Out of the two of them, they're both great. They're both in that top class of receiver. I could see him being somewhere where with the top receivers right now receiving around that 30 million a year to what
27,
33. I was going to
25,
say 28
27.
to 29 a year
Okay, so
AAV.
yeah.
However, it's less about that. It's more about length and guarantees. And I think what's
3 year
fair,
probably because he's 30. He'll be turning 30 going into this season.
and what I would have said there is you do a 3-year deal, 2 void, you make it 99 million with 2/3 of that, so 66-ish guaranteed, or 65 to 66 guaranteed. And then you're going to spread out those guarantees over those other void years. It's going to make the contract much more palatable, especially if there is some sort of catastrophic issue where he falls out that deep end. But I think that's probably the range where he should be, and something that I would hope that he would be comfortable with. I'm curious to understand what the contract talks are at right now and what he's looking for, what the team is willing to offer.
Apparently, they're very fucking far apart.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how you could be like, because Terry has done everything that you have asked him to do, and he's done it at a high quality. Like, the only reason he probably didn't have more yards this year is because Jaden didn't throw the ball more. They ran the ball quite a bit. But as that expands more, as Jaden's role expands more, Terry's going to be is so fucking crucial, man. But I would pay him for sure. Question for you: Jordan Addison contract getting ready to come up. Would you pay Jordan Addison, or would you rather have Terry McLaurin and pay Terry McLaurin?
Well, to be completely fair, I don't think the Vikings would pay either of them. I don't know that Jordan Addison is going to be on this team past this year if I had to put money on it. Because we're looking at, he'll be accelerated to that 5th-year option next year. We would have to, it'll be his 4th year next year. We'll be looking at the 5th-year option. I'm not sure if we will extend it then or not. I think that we'll attempt to move him before that. Probable suspension coming, for early part of this year. Talent-wise, Terry McLaurin is better than Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, I think, is one of the top 15-ish number 2 receivers in the league. I don't know if he can fully support being a number 1 receiver long term. He's done a very good job, especially as a rookie when Justin Jefferson went down for a little bit. Mm-hmm. But you haven't seen that sort of consistency that you did from an actual true number 1 type of receiver out of Terry McLaurin. So if we're just talking about quality right now, I would take Terry McLaurin over Jordan Addison. And that's not to say I don't love J.A., But the
And
thing
those
is
contracts
JA.
are going to be very fucking similar between those two guys.
Yeah, I would assume that Jordan Addison, if and when he signs a new contract, is going to be looking for that 28 or more per year. He's going to be looking for starting number one wide receiver money, and he's going to get it in this sort of a league.
100%.
Look, when we're talking about next year and the contracts that are going to be doled out to wide receivers, 30 mil is going to be an easy.
That's why, listen, if Washington does not want to fucking pay Terry McLaurin right now, Andrew Berry should get on the fucking horn. Call them. Pay him I don't care. Figure it the fuck out. Because the wide receiver contracts are going to continue to go up. Terry, you can still get at good wide receiver money, but not astronomical. Because guys like Jordan Addison, who's a really good number 2, are going to get the same deals that Terry McLaurin is probably going to get, who is a true number 1. So Washington would be stupid not to fucking resign him. If they are willing to trade him, I mean, Andrew Berry, fucking make the call. You've traded for wide receivers basically every offseason, and it's pretty much worked out.
I see no way that this will get worked out one way or another. Washington isn't going to trade him because they can't afford to. This is, again, you're talking about year 2 for a rookie quarterback. There's a lot of times a year 2 slump. You want to mitigate that as much as possible. You can't remove McLaurin from that situation. Yeah, you brought in Debo, but we've seen Debo not be the same Debo that he has been recently. You don't have the same sort of receiving options there if you don't have Terry McLaurin. If you're talking doing like a 1-for-1 swap, Jerry Jeudy, Terry McLaurin, and you probably are going to have to offer up some picks.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not getting.
I understand, but I'm saying that's the only way that a Washington would consider doing that sort of a move.
That's not true.
Because
we have a young wide receiver that we could flip him in a pick.
Cedric Tillman.
Yes, that would be the one I'd give.
Not enough talent. Not enough talent for Washington. Yeah. If I'm Adam Peters in Washington, not enough talent for me. I need somewhere close in the realm of the same sort of talent in return that is willing to work with me contract-wise. And that would hopefully be a Jerry Jeudy. And I don't think Jerry Jeudy is nearly as talented as Terry McLaurin is.
No, I agree. Terry McLaurin's a better receiver than Jerry Jeudy, but I don't want to trade Jerry Jeudy, especially because I think that he's about to have a really nice year. Jerry looks really good.
When has he looked really good recently, Mike?
When it doesn't matter at all at OTAs.
OTAs, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all.
All right, just making sure.
It doesn't matter that Shedeur looks like the best quarterback on my team. Anyways,
he didn't even get a number 1 rep. He didn't get a first team rep, right? Last practice. All right, I'm just making sure here because look, I am drinking the same sort of Kool-Aid from my team right now. Yeah. And I'm trying to temper my expectations.
I know.
Which is why I made that post.
I wish you would stop shitting in my Cheerios right now because he looks fucking good, dude. He looks fucking good by all reports. Even people that don't fucking like him have said he looked really good, but Dylan Gabriel looked better. And it's never been Shedeur had a bad day. It's, Dylan Gabriel was better today. Or, tough day. It's never Shedeur had a bad day. I have not heard a single report from even people that don't like him that it's been a bad day.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I understand it's OTAs. Hey, every single Browns game is going to be televised on NFL Network for preseason. And you know exactly why.
Yeah. Look, I it's why I made the post on the Raw Dawg Sports Facebook page showing off all these stats from OTAs, which, by the way, I don't know how these stats come about because the OTA practices are not open to the public or media for more than like 1 or 2 days most of the time. Most of the media that you're seeing coming out is from the team. So
it's just leaked reports. It's somebody talking to somebody.
But that's my Vikings had one day that they allowed the media to come out through their first 3 OTAs and a second day later out of, I believe it was the 6 OTA days. And somehow we're getting reports of he threw 1 interception the whole time and 40 touchdowns. And
JJ McCarthy is the greatest quarterback that's ever quarterbacked OTAs. I did hear this.
It's and shout out to Cam on Twitter. I don't know who you are, but I feel like you are very much so as big of a homer as possible for the Vikings. And I get it, this is coming from a homer, but like I'm able to kind of be like, dude, you gotta chill because this seems a little bit over the top. It is OTAs. I want to hear good things about them, but also you're pretty much only hearing good things about these players from these teams.
You'll never hear a
good
bad
things.
thing unless there was some sort of knock on the player to begin with. It's like, ooh, you know that thing that we were worried about? Well, we're seeing it.
This player, for whatever reason, is on a yacht with a bunch of pink powder in a little baggie or something like that.
What is that shit called, by the way?
Terrible. So I've heard two reports now. There's one that was calling it what Tusi or I don't know.
Tusi, that's what I heard. Like Tusi.
All right. There's another one from Ron Johnson, former NFL wide receiver, now a guy for the Gophers and Vikings, that apparently in his research, they are 100% legal boner pills. And so
there's no way. There's no way that was a just like lines a dick pill.
So it apparently wasn't lines and stuff. They're actual like not gummy bears, but something along those lines. Essentially, an upgraded, more highfalutin version of the gas station dick pill, or
dude, it looked like a powder. Like, did I see a different video than you? Like,
I don't know. I didn't inspect it that hard, you know. I was and again, I was only focused on Stefan Diggs and his face, nothing that was around him on the yacht. Obviously. And so
you're getting married in a week, obviously.
I didn't even see what the substance was, but allegedly there is a strong contingent, especially on X, that is very of the mind that it was this particular pill, and apparently can be looked up. I'll try and get on the Google machine here after I'm done talking, but it is something that is supposed to help allow you to go for very long sessions, allegedly, which would make some sense.
Well, when you have
multiple scantily clad women, so on a boat, what could happen?
Producer Amber's gonna need to chill the fuck out real quick. Interesting situation gonna happen there. Like, he's gonna get suspended. You can't have that video out and not get suspended. This is like a fucking scene from the show Ballers.
Right.
Like, he's definitely going to get suspended.
Tusi is a cocaine type of cocaine. So that's one of the prevailing thoughts.
Yep, that's what I thought.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to get on the X machine for this, maybe. Because I just typed in, did Stefan Diggs have boner pills on a boat?
I don't think that's going to give you the search results you want to see, my man.
You never know.
Well, it is Pride Month.
I'm using AI to search right now.
Ooh. So while you look for that, let's go ahead and move on into some continued talks about people that just don't want to take money. Stefan Diggs will lose money probably at some point for not playing. But somebody who didn't want to take money while he rehabbed, Derek Carr, just all around general good guy, did not want to steal money from the Saints while he rehabbed and got surgery.
Allegedly.
Evo, are you buying this? Or is it horse shit like we think it is?
I think it is probably within the gray area, which a lot of things are. Had some sort of a shoulder injury still lingering from the previous year. That makes sense. At his age, surgical, action is probably a smart idea to create longevity, not just for your playing career, but for your life as a person, right? So I believe that if things had gone differently with this team, maybe if he wasn't having a head coach who was roughly the same age and someone that he played against in college football, maybe someone that he wanted there more, maybe if the organization was run better, they had a better roster, things like that, I bet you he would have played. I really feel like he probably would have strapped in the pads and said, I'm going to give it a go. However, that situation probably gave him a little bit more of a nudge of saying, no, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this surgery on the shoulder. And now, look, I don't know. Maybe Derek Carr is a really great dude. I know he's a very godly man.
He is.
Big,
Listen, he is a very godly man. And it is entirely possible that he stands on principle that he would not take money when he's not sure if he could play.
mm-hmm.
But it's really hard for me to think about throwing away 40. What was he do? 45 this year?
Doesn't matter. We're talking double digit millions of dollars. I don't care if you are the wealthiest person or not. I'll take it. Right. And you signed a contract. The contract isn't you get this if you play or you don't necessarily. The team gave him that contract, understanding his injury history and the injury potential of playing professional football. That's part of the contract. And as a businessman, as a professional businessman, if I was him in that instance, I would say that was a contract that was entered professionally. If the situation was flipped, the team wouldn't have that sort of grace. Why should I? And I truly believe that this is a way for him to, not have to be around the team, not have to do football stuff, focus on his family, get the rehab that he wants, money he's not hurting for.
Obviously.
And this allows him to then come back next year and hopefully help leverage himself into a situation where he can go to a different team, different situation, because the Saints are actively in the process of moving on with future Hall of Famer Tyler Shuck.
So you are thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, that just came out of your mouth. So you are of the thinking that Derek Carr is kind of playing nice with the Saints organization. I'm not taking your money. I don't want to play for you. I'm going to rehab. And when I come back, I expect you to move my ass for whatever. So because I played nice, I didn't steal your fucking money. I mean, is that what you're saying? Because that's the way it seems a little bit to me. I just want to make sure that either we're on the same page or not, because I understand he's a very, very godly man. He is a man of principle. However, he's not old by any means.
Quarterback means.
By quarterback means. He's got to think that he could probably still play a little bit, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing is he said that he probably could play this year, but not be his full potential. Right. That comment of saying that I could still play, he didn't say that I don't have a love for the game. I don't have a passion for the game. I don't want to play anymore. He didn't say that. He's
done with the game.
Yeah. And so that as of right now, I believe that this retirement more than anything is a ploy, that it provides that sort of relief for the Saints. It makes him look like a good guy. It allows him to take a year away from football, but also Derek Carr isn't dumb. He understands that the football machine keeps turning whether you're in the game or not. So while he is away, the Saints are actively moving on. If he decides to come out of retirement next year, the Saints have moved on. They do not have plans, preparations for Derek Carr. Let's say Tyler Shuck does look halfway decent. Let's say that Spencer Rattler takes a step forward. One of those two options happens. Or the Saints are in a position to take a number one overall quarterback because they're one of the worst teams in the league.
I refuse to live in a universe where Tyler Shuck takes this massive leap and just becomes this other worldly quarterback.
I didn't say good because it's not a high bar to be that much better than Derek Carr right now.
Okay, that's a very true statement.
So let's just say that the NFL is moving on and any one of those three options could happen. Shuck is average-ish something. Spencer Rattler takes that step forward and is average-ish something or better, or you're in a position to be one of the worst teams in the NFL and have a number one overall pick. And now Derek Carr says, by the way, I'm unretiring. You have the rights to me. And it's less about I played nice with you. It's more about, hey, you guys have moved on. Let me move on and get something. Get something in return. Trade me away. Get a little bit of draft pick compensation. I don't have to be someone in your locker room that is now competition and a storyline and a distraction.
And it's a lot of leverage.
Whatever quarterback you have in-house.
Well, and when you think about the salary cap implications that go into an unretirement, considering where they're at now with the retirement, there's a huge conversation to be had there. Derek has a fuckload of leverage in this by just saying, I'm unretiring. Mm-hmm. He can completely fuck the team now, honestly, because if he unretired, their books go haywire. And so, he is probably not doing that, but he has all the leverage if he does decide he wants to come back.
Yeah, and that's we kind of talked about it when he up and retired before. I didn't think that it was over for Derek Carr. I thought that this is not a retirement. This is a sabbatical. This is a sabbatical from football for a multitude of reasons. Ultimately, would be to play football again a year in the future somewhere outside of New Orleans. And so it's something obviously that we're going to continue to watch as it progresses going forward. We're probably not going to get a ton of news between now and next offseason, but I would have to assume his name is going to be one that gets thrown around quite a bit as a bridge quarterback or something like that going into next offseason.
I would imagine that will definitely be a possibility. Now, speaking of quarterbacks, let's stay with probably the biggest storyline of the NFL. Something that we're both very passionate about for different reasons. Aaron Rodgers is a goddamn Steeler. Woo! Yes! I'm so excited, bro. I'm so excited. The implosion is going to hit stone ice when it finally fucking happens. Because I know it. You know it. Aaron Rodgers is going to tear that fucking team apart, who already has a shitload of turmoil in terms of contracts, egos, players, coaches, control, who does what. They moved off of George Pickens because he had a character problem. Brought in DK Metcalf. And then they bring in Aaron fucking Rodgers to play quarterback. I cannot wait for this goddamn season to start. You know what? If for some reason they're good, I'll come on here and say, you know what? You got me. But there is nope. No. Not doing that. Fuck Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. They're going to be bad, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
They could be good, but they won't be. They won't be.
I just want to know, have the Steelers approached Mason Rudolph to take away his shoelaces yet? Because his starting job just got yanked away from him.
Oh, no.
But look,
the tragedy.
Let me be very clear, and this is probably going to be the nicest thing I'm going to say all day. You have, and not you, the royal you, yes. The watcher, the viewer,
the proverbial you, as it were.
You have the right to hate Aaron Rodgers and to dislike him as much as I do. I don't know if it's as much as Mike does, but that's definitely as much as I do. But you have to be honest. Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Mason Rudolph. So you cannot fault the Pittsburgh Steelers in that very, very narrow-minded, non-context-driven fashion for signing Aaron Rodgers. That makes sense. However,
okay, here we go. I was waiting for however, because I know we're going.
It is the poison pill, right? Also, I bet you Aaron Rodgers is very, very upset right now because all of his thunder that he got to have out in the media is quickly being swept away by this beautiful Donald Trump, Elon Musk feud that's going on.
Dude, it's so
completely funny. Wiped it away.
By the way, we need to have a talk before we go to Vegas because Jesus, man.
He's very, very upset about that. However, Aaron Rodgers is a Pittsburgh Steeler. It has been shown that Aaron Rodgers cannot play well with others, especially when things don't go well. I don't think that the Steelers are a playoff-ready team. I don't think Aaron Rodgers being on the team or not changes that. So I think the road's going to be a little bit rocky. There's already been rocky situations there leading up to this with some of the characters on the team. Obviously, you have George Pickens leave. I really wish he had stayed because I think that would have just been more gasoline on the fire. However, Aaron Rodgers tends to be the death note for those around him at this point. Mike Tomlin's time might actually be done with the Pittsburgh Steelers after this year. And now the Rooneys don't fire people.
Is it because the reports are that the decision with Aaron and Tom were all weighed in on each other? Apparently, those two were like docking each other, like this is what we want. But obviously, Aaron,
I'm sure that that's the case. However, as we know from history, Aaron takes no blame when things go wrong. Correct. He's going to point the finger at everyone else. And Tomlin is one of those everyone else's. He's going to tell him that you did something wrong. Tomlin he's also been a really weird coach, though, with how he handles his players. It seems like he has roped him in to an extent, but also like it's a bunch of crazy kids in a playground. And he's like, I got them contained in the playground, but they're a bunch of fucking psychos. And when one of them gets really fucking psychotic, we ship them off to Dallas. Okay, or we don't pay the running back, or we get rid of Antonio Brown. CTE ESPN. Love you. Great content.
Great content.
But I think that at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers, his personality is going to be toxic for that locker room. I think 100%. That Aaron Rodgers, the player, is nowhere near what he was, despite some of the non-contextual statistics that he put up last year with the Jets, is not the same player. Because I remind you, that Jets team had a lot of really good offensive weapons and a at least average offensive line in that second year that he played there. And he managed to make guys like Breece Hall not look good. He managed to make guys like Garrett Wilson look lesser than they actually are. Aaron Rodgers, to an extent, I believe, is tearing teams down around him, not just from a personality standpoint, but from a play standpoint and from the type of plays that he forces the team to run. He wants his playbook run. I don't know if it's going to work out well there. I don't think it's going to work out well there. I think this is probably the end of Aaron Rodgers. And I think that we could be seeing a quick end to the Mike Tomlin era there in Pittsburgh. Not that the Rooneys would fire him, but I think that Mike Tomlin's going to be fed up with the bullshit. It's time for a change of scenery. He'll get a new job right the fuck away from someone else if he were to leave. I think that this was an inevitable move by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but also it was that damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation. The only thing that I think they could have done other than ride the season out with Mason Rudolph at this point.
They couldn't do that. There was no way they were going to be able to pull that off. Their fans would have went fucking ballistic if their plan was Mason Rudolph.
Well, I don't know how happy their fans are with Aaron Rodgers because of the several Pittsburgh Steelers fans that I know, they've all come out and not been happy.
I'm sure our friend Aston, the biracial angel, is not thrilled with.
I don't know. I don't know where he would sit on this one, to be completely honest. And it's something that we'll have to check in with him on. I'll report back. But you could have made a swing for a Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
It's still out
better
there
than
as an option.
Fucking Aaron Rodgers.
You could have probably, and this would be the wild one, kick a draft asset of some sort to the Cleveland Browns for a Joe Flacco.
That was not going to happen. Joe Flacco is still competing. No, listen. It doesn't matter who tossed on a draft asset or not. There's no deal happening with quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett is on the roster. Joe Flacco is there to be the leader, the mentor. Now, he's not a mentor, but I'll talk about that real quick. Listen, Joe Flacco answered that question about as good as you can fucking answer that question. Because his job is not to be a mentor, necessarily. His job is to be a fucking leader. He's 41 years old, played in the league a long time. He's going to come in and do his job. He's going to go to work. He's not going to fuck these kids. He's not going to fuck these guys up. I'm not going to try to to dog you and put you down and to get myself a starting job. I'm gonna do what right looks like. And if you listen to my example, if you follow my example, you'll see what a pro looks like. I think that's a completely acceptable answer. Am I going to go grab a kid by the hand and drag him along who doesn't want to be there? Because imagine if Joe Flacco is a Johnny Manziel's fucking mentor or somebody else like that's mentor who just doesn't care. So I understand his answer. I think is a really good answer on the Joe Flacco thing. So I could not imagine that they want Joe Flacco out of our locker room and into the fucking Steelers locker room. There's no way that trade could happen in my mind. I just don't see any way it could happen.
I could see it happening because you guys aren't going to go into the season with 4 quarterbacks.
100% we're not, but Joe Flacco's been in our system. He know we're not going to give a division opponent that.
Who's the odd man out?
And that it's Kenny Pickett, but you can't send Kenny Pickett back.
I'm not talking about that. So let's say you get to cut down day and you're going to carry, let's say, 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
It's Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's the odd man out.
So you're going to cut Pickett.
I think we will try to trade Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
For a conditional 7th.
And you think Joe Flacco will be
Joe Flacco starts. I would imagine Dylan Gabriel will start the season as the 2. And Shedeur will be the 3. Unless Shedeur just shows in preseason that he deserves to be the 2. However, neither one of the rookies will start.
My thought process is that if Joe Flacco does look like he provides the least upside to that team, if he's the one that they're going to get rid of anyways, then that's the guy that they could say, hey, we'll trade you Joe Flacco because we don't think he's going to be good anyways. You move Joe Flacco over to a team where you don't think that he's going to be successful with that team either.
Yeah, but you can't do it to the fucking Steelers because, well, now you definitely can because Aaron Rodgers is there.
Right. I'm saying in an alternative universe.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think that the Steelers would have traded for Pickett anyways if that had came up because it wasn't a great exit. Right. No. That's the only reason why Mason Rudolph is back is because the exit wasn't completely tumultuous. It was just bad team, bad situation, and a bad quarterback.
Well, don't worry. They have a bad team, a bad situation, and a bad quarterback all coming right back into a head because Aaron Rodgers is not Aaron Rodgers anymore.
Right.
Like, are you going to tell me that the talent on the Steelers offense is more than the talent on the Jets offense from last year? No fucking way. There's no way.
Offensive line isn't as good. Tight end is better with Pat Freiermuth. You have DK Metcalf, who I think we could just very
swap Garrett
Wilson, right? But then beyond that, I'm not big into Calvin Austin the third. At running back, you have a rookie running back coming in who I'm a big fan of there out of Iowa. However, you have a known commodity in Breece Hall that you can trust and a good second running back who was a rookie and showed what he could do. I feel like at a minimum, the offensive line is not as good. I think that most fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted Justin Fields to stay there and see what he can do.
I think the Jets got better by getting rid of Aaron Rodgers and bringing in Justin Fields, and the Steelers got worse. That swap, I can't wait to see Justin Fields play well and Aaron Rodgers to tank the Steelers.
And I can't wait to see the Vikings play Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in Dublin.
Dublin, Ireland. Really? That's going to be a hell of a game.
Yep. Played Aaron Rodgers out in Europe last year. Whooped that ass. You can do it again.
Man, Dublin, they do, I believe they do direct flights now from Cleveland to Dublin.
Yeah. So actually, my dad, sidebar, hit me up today about tickets. And I told him, I don't think I'm going to go because it's too expensive. And he said, well, all the Dublin tickets completely sold out. But the Browns Vikings in the UK is still available. $6,000 ticket packages. So if you got it,
We'll talk.
$6,000.
We'll talk.
If you got $6,000 lying around,
I don't.
That's just for the game, not talking flights.
Fuck's sake.
So,
well, I don't think I'm going to England this year then. Well,
yeah. There might be cheaper stuff out there. Who knows?
Thanks, Obama. All right, man. I think we
got political here.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't think we heard that in a long time. But like Obama, no hate, actually big fan. But do we have any other things to talk about in sports wise today for the show? Because I think we're about there.
Man, I'm not sure we do, other than the fact that again, OTAs take everything with a grain of salt. I know that I am struggling to do so. I sure as fuck know Mike's struggling to do so.
Shadir's a dog.
But and apparently JJ McCarthy,
greatest quarterback of all time,
reminds former teammates of Josh Allen of young Josh Allen and faster version of Joe Burrow. Words from Justin Jefferson and Harrison Phillips himself. So if we want to take everything that's said, we're going to be seeing the Browns and Vikings in the Super Bowl.
Browns, Vikings, Super Bowl. That's exactly.
We do have mini camps coming up, though. Mini camps are going to be fantastic because that's where you're going to get a little bit better reporting. Again, reporters were not really allowed to be at too many of the practices for these teams. Mini camps are open. They are open to reporters. From everything I know, every day in mini camp, reporters will be able to get be out there watching every single rep. You'll get the good, you'll get the bad. You won't just get the positives that are coming out of things. So that'll be a little bit better for us, but obviously we'll pump the brakes till training camp for the most part as much as we can. But yeah, I think we're pretty much good on everything here, Mike.
Yeah, I believe we hit what was it, 47 out of 12 topics for 77 home runs. So I think we hit it all, man.
All right, perfect.
My man, I appreciate you guys. This is Raw Dawg Sports, formerly known as the Live and Lounge. Thank you guys for tuning in. We are forever grateful for every ounce of support that we get here on YouTube, Twitter, now Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can find us in all of those places. If you want to listen to us, you can find us on any podcast platform. And if you want to see these beautiful faces while you hear our voices, you can go check us out on YouTube. But that time that you spend with us, we appreciate it because time is the most valuable commodity that you have. With that, Evo, I'm going to give you the one last word for the people.
All righty. God, I'm not going to remember what I was going to say last week because I didn't get the opportunity to do it.
I know I fucked it up last week.
It's okay. No. It's all good. I'll say it again. Rest in peace, Jim Irsay. Again, I've learned a lot more about him over the past couple of weeks than I even knew, and about his work with people who needed help and the way that he treated his players. It does sound like we truly lost a really good owner there. So,
yeah,
I'll say it again now. Rest in peace, Jim Irsay.
Rest in peace to Jim Irsay. And
hopefully I don't go to jail in Vegas this coming week.
I'm actually, you know what? I'm more grown up now. I'll try to keep you out of jail.
All right. Awesome.
Not my strong suit. But guys, thank you very much. This is Raw Dawg Sports. We're going to be off next week because we're going to be in fucking Vegas celebrating Evo and his beautiful then wife. But we will be back a couple weeks from now. We'll be talking about all the things NFL, MLB. We'll go back, take a look at what happened in the NBA Finals and NHL. Guys, thank you very much. Raw Dawg Sports. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Stay up.